Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone in North America. It is, even if you don't believe the hokum of the history we've been fed, consume at your own risk. But I guess it's really just needing to be thankful and using these opportunities to go ahead and do some inner work and healing. So, usually I get, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about healing. And all of a sudden, with all these crazy retrogrades and everything else that's going on here, since today is November 30th, 2024, it is 8:11 a.m. And I'm going to go ahead and record this because I have more family coming over. Thursday was, obviously that was the 28th, and I had family over then. Now I'm having more family come today. So, we're going to talk a little bit about healing and what that means. Vision came to me and it was kind of odd. I don't get that kind of stuff very often, but this came to me on the 26th. So I saw an open wound, and it wasn't something that was new. When you have a wound that's fresh, it has, it looks a little more. I'm going to get graphic here, so sorry about that, but not really. You got to get the point here. It wasn't wet, so I knew it wasn't a new wound, but the color on it was so vibrant. So when something starts to oxidize, it's going to start turning brown or get a little crusty. This was not. It was kind of weird. It was like suspended. It wasn't wet, but it had been there for a really long time. Yeah, kind of like a suspended animation. It the thought came to me that this opened wound was forgotten about. And sometimes we do that. We think we've healed from something because we don't think about it anymore, but it's not. It's not like it's suppressed. It's just there out of our periphery. So this came to me that now this at the time I wrote for some reason, but I really feel like the reason is because we're going to be encountering all the intense emotions that go along with this time of year. And it's not going to be just about family. It's going to be about anything and everything that you can bring up. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be another person. It could be a situation, a place, a time where your head can go back to these things. So for now, it's being brought back into some level of awareness. Now we have the choice of being able to deal with this stuff, acknowledging it and processing it. That's going to be really important right now. The wound is always there, but not thought about. It doesn't cause any immediate pain or discomfort on a day to day basis. Or even with an occurrence, you could encounter a similar situation, but it's so much out of your periphery of awareness that you don't think about it. And for some reason, right now, it's being brought back up for you. So even though this is Thanksgiving, this message might be for somebody who is, it might be May or September or, 3 years if we're still around, right? From now. So what happens is that when we have a wounding and we push it to the side or bury it, or it's not really like I said, it's not suppressed. You're not like pressing it down. You're just not processing it. So when we do this without healing it, it doesn't heal. We think that that process that we went through by ignoring it, or maybe, oh yeah, it's still there, and just kind of like a disassociation from it, it's still not processing it because I can still see it. It's like this gash, And I don't know if anybody has ever seen that kind of a cut in human skin where it goes very, very deep. There are a lot of layers. You can see all the layers of the different tissues of skin and deeper in, if you've ever seen that. And I have. So it can cut very deep. And like I said, it's it's wet, so it's fresh, but it's not new. And I think sometimes we have a tendency to associate that with like a scar or something healed up. This is not even being allowed to do any type of healing. And maybe it is being brought up because we're having Thanksgiving here in the US, and everybody is going to be either a little more sensitive, especially with the retrogrades, I think I've already mentioned, and that we're reminded of people that we haven't thought about or situations that we've thought about. Sorry, the dog is shedding big time. So it's like kind of in the air, and she's got really short hairs, and they're like, it's like rabbit hair, or, it's like, anyway, it's everywhere. So yes, it's being brought into our awareness, maybe at a gathering where you're shopping, and the next thing you know, those people are now, or those places are now right in front of us in our awareness, and we maybe in situations we're not going to have a choice but to deal with them. And I think moving forward in the next 3 to 5 months, 6 months, maybe even up to a year, depending on some people, we're not going to have the opportunity to turn away or run away and put that wounding away, because consider this, and this is kind of why maybe it's not healing and it looks fresh. It's not something somebody else did to us, it's something we did to ourselves. This is a self wounding. This is taking ownership of our woundings and our healing. And we have to not feel guilty about it. That's part of the process. All of these negative emotions that we might associate with that, especially the guilt part. We put that wounding away and it doesn't get healed. But it's kind of odd because it's fresh. Like if you have something that somebody does to you, you can have things, if you imagine again like a physical wound, that if you don't allow it to heal, it can become infected. I don't know if you know what necrotic is, but that means like death, dead. Ugh. That can also happen. So I even mentioned it necrotic in there. I didn't even read that part. So it's an odd wounding because it doesn't fester. It doesn't know if you know. Okay. It doesn't mean okay, so that means death, or that it's dead and it doesn't do anything. That's not what this is. It doesn't produce a scar. It's just the wound. It's sitting there waiting for you to even just acknowledge it. That can start the process. Acknowledging it, owning it. You don't have to relive it or put it through a microscope. You just have to acknowledge it. And when it's your wounding, you need to heal it, whether someone else did it or you did it to yourself. But I think this is the example that we do it to ourselves. It's been hanging around in our subconscious, and we get reminded of these things every year. Acknowledge it and learn how to let go of it. So the next step is doing that. You can do it yourself. You can ask for help, please, of someone that you trust, someone you know that you're safe with. If you don't have anybody that you feel that is like that, please reach out to me. Check out my website. I do a lot of pro bono. And so I help people on a daily. We'll say pro bono. All right. And I think that was that. I mean, I did get some other things. I did the vicarious. Yeah, we did the vicarious trauma last week. So this is about healing our wounds. This is about acknowledging it, processing it, and I could go into all the different ways to do that, but because everyone has a unique placement as to where that wound took place, and I sincerely believe that this is an acknowledgement of our self woundings. And once we start doing those healing processes with people that we can trust, I think our world is really going to open up. So I thank you so much for stopping by. I am going to switch to the reading portion now. And many blessings. And do reach out if you feel the need to do so in safety and peace.